2 weeks before my sister's wedding, my mother sat across from me at her kitchen table, folded her hands, and said with a calm smile, "We've decided you're not coming." I had paid for the dress, the flowers, the photographer's deposit, the rehearsal dinner, and the entire honeymoon fund. I looked at her and answered quietly, "Understood." That night I moved every remaining dollar back into my own account and canceled the flights I had booked in her name. By morning my phone was full of missed calls. But the message that arrived at 7:14 a.m. from my cousin changed the direction of everything. If you've ever been the one who pays and the one they push aside, stay with me. Comment where you're listening from. And subscribe, you're going to want the ending. My name is Lena Hart. I'm 35. I run a small veterinary clinic on the east side of Denver. 2 exam rooms, 1 older technician who drinks too much coffee, and a waiting room that always smells like disinfectant and wet dog. No one gave me this life. I worked double shifts through vet school, lived in a basement apartment for 6 years, and bought my first house with cash I saved 1 emergency surgery at a time. I like quiet. I like order. I keep every receipt in labeled folders, and I never buy a non-refundable ticket. In my family, that made me useful. After our father left when I was 19, the calls started. Car repairs, rent shortfalls, medical bills, just until next month. I said yes every time. I told myself I was holding the family together. I kept a private spreadsheet. I never spoke the total out loud. Last year, my younger sister Claire got engaged to a man named Grant, whose family owns a large ranch outside Bozeman, Montana. The wedding would be in the mountains, of course. At the engagement dinner, my mother turned to me and said, not asked, "You'll take care of the important things." I paid for Claire's dress the same afternoon she tried it on. I covered the florist's retainer and the photographer's first payment. I opened a separate savings account in my name only and placed the honeymoon money there, planning to hand it over after the ceremony. I booked refundable flights for my mother. Every receipt went into a blue folder. Every payment went onto a clean spreadsheet. Then the small exclusions began. A bridesmaid brunch I learned about from Instagram. A dinner with Grant's parents that only had room for immediate family. A group chat where every vendor and schedule lived. I was never added. When my cousin Tara asked why I hadn't replied to a question about the seating chart, I told her I wasn't in the chat. She went quiet for a long moment, then typed, "That's strange, everything is decided in there." I told myself Claire was overwhelmed. I had a clinic to run. It was easier to believe in stress than intention. 3 months before the wedding, I noticed a charge on a store card I rarely used. A bridal boutique in Boulder. I called the company. The account had been opened 2 years earlier in my name with my old address. I had never applied for it. I disputed it, placed a freeze, and wrote the date in my notebook. Before I could raise it at Sunday dinner, my mother mentioned lightly that Claire had needed a temporary card for fittings and everything would be sorted after the wedding. I closed the notebook. I had done the responsible thing. At the bridal shower, I paid for the private room and the catering. The printed menus credited my mother as host. Claire moved through the room accepting compliments. Tara found me near the dessert table and said quietly, "Claire told one of the bridesmaids you're helping with costs, not part of the wedding party." Helping, not sister. I drove to my mother's house 2 days later and asked one direct question. Why was I missing from every photo, every dinner, every chat? My mother touched the necklace she always wore when she needed sympathy. "After everything I've carried alone, you're standing here counting what you've given. Your father would be disappointed." No one answered the question. 4 days later, they answered it together. My mother called and asked me to stop by after work. Claire was already there. They sat on one side of the table. No coffee was offered. My mother smiled the way people smile when they have rehearsed the line. "We've talked it over. It will be better if you're not at the wedding. You make things about money. Grant's family is private and traditional. Your presence would create the wrong feeling. Everyone agrees this is the kindest choice." Claire looked at the tablecloth and said nothing. I stood, picked up my folder, and said the only words that felt true. "Understood." That evening, I moved the honeymoon money back to my primary account. I canceled the refundable flights. I emailed the florist and the photographer that I would not be responsible for any remaining balances. I closed the spreadsheet. I turned my phone face down and slept. 20 missed calls by morning, voicemails that moved from soft to sharp, the last one from my mother. You have no idea what you've set in motion. At 7:14 am, Tara sent a photo taken quickly in a parking lot and a short message. Lena, this crossed my desk at the credit union where I work. I shouldn't be sending it. Is this your signature on a personal loan for Claire's wedding expenses? If it isn't, call me now. I enlarged the image. A loan document. Borrower, Claire Hart. Cosigner line filled with a version of my signature I had not used in years. I had never signed it. I pulled my credit reports before the clinic opened. There it was. A $11,800 personal loan opened 6 months earlier, minimum payments auto-drafted. In a second store account I had already frozen, now showing a higher balance than I remembered. The date on the loan matched a weekend I had spent at a veterinary conference in Salt Lake City. Badge scans, hotel folio, receipts with timestamps. I requested the full file from the credit union in writing. When it arrived, I spread the pages on my kitchen table. The signature was close to mine, but not mine. Attached was a copy of an old driver's license I had left in a box at my mother's house years earlier when I moved. Only one person had the key to that box. I called the attorney who handles my clinic's contracts. She read the documents in silence, then said, "This is not a family misunderstanding. This is fraud. You have options. You can stay quiet and keep paying, or you can document everything and let the system handle it." I chose the second path. I sent a short certified letter to my mother and Claire, the fax only. The loan existed in my name. I had not signed it. On the date of the signature, I was in another state. Enclosed were copies of the badge report and the license photocopy. They had until the following Monday to go to the credit union, state the signatures were not mine, and request my removal. If they did not, I would file the fraud affidavit and a police report the same morning. 3 days of silence. Then Claire appeared at my door alone, eyes red. She sat at my table and talked for a long time. It had been their mother's idea. The ranch family expected a certain level of wedding. The budget had collapsed. They believed I would never let anything default. The plan was simple: keep me away from the documents and the events so I would never notice. After the honeymoon, they would refinance and remove my name. "Just sign the letter," she said. "Be the bigger person one more time." I pushed the tissue box toward her. "The account is closed. So is every other door that used to open automatically." My mother's response was a story. Within days, the version circulating through our extended family and the neighborhood was that I had taken back money out of jealousy and tried to ruin my sister's happiness. I said nothing in public. I saved every message. My Aunt Ruth, my father's sister, came to the clinic after hours, sat across from me, and asked to see the folder. She read every page. When she finished, she tapped the signature. "I know your mother's handwriting. This is hers on the cosigner line." Ruth began making quiet phone calls. The tone in the family shifted. Some people stopped texting scripture. Others sent short, uncomfortable apologies. From my mother's house, nothing. Monday morning, I signed the affidavit in front of a notary. Then I drove to the police station and filed the report. The detective gave me a case number. My hand did not shake. The wedding was 6 days away. The system did not care about the calendar. By Wednesday, the loan was frozen. The store account was locked. Vendors began calling the number listed as financially responsible mine. To each one I gave the same clear answer and followed up in writing. The funding source was under active investigation. I was not a party to their contracts. They needed to speak with the bride. Grant called from a Montana number. His voice was careful. "Lena, the caterer and the venue are asking questions I can't answer. I need the straight version." I gave him dates, documents, and the case number. I offered to send copies of what was legally mine to share. He was silent for a long time. Then he said his parents had been told there was a family wedding fund. He needed a day. The next evening he called again. His parents wanted both families at the rehearsal dinner that was already paid for. They asked specifically that I attend and bring whatever documentation I had. My mother called an hour later, voice soft. "This has gotten bigger than it needs to be. Come to the dinner. Explain it was a misunderstanding. Sign the paper and everything returns to normal. You can even sit near the front." I booked a refundable ticket and packed a single folder. The rehearsal dinner was held in a glass-walled lodge overlooking a valley. 50 seats, soft light, long tables. I arrived early, Ruth and Tara were already there. Grant stood near the windows looking tired. Claire entered in pale blue. My mother moved through the room, touching arms and smiling for the audience. When she reached me, she took both my hands and said clearly enough for nearby tables to hear, "I'm glad you came to set things right." She guided me to a chair placed in the center, facing the room. "Lena has been under stress and there has been confusion with the bank. She would like to clear it up now." Every face turned toward me. Grant's father stood, a single sheet of paper in his hand. "I think I'll begin," he said. He spoke evenly. His son had shared certain documents. The family had been told the wedding rested on a private family fund. He looked at my mother when he used the word fund. He invited me to present what I knew. I stood, opened the folder, and placed each page on the table in order, turning them so the room could see. A personal loan in my name, the signature page that was not my handwriting, the photocopy of an old license that had been stored in my mother's house, the conference records proving I was in another state on the date of the signature, the affidavit, the police case number. "I did not sign this loan," I said in the same voice I use when I explain a difficult diagnosis to a pet owner. "The account is frozen under investigation. That is why several vendors have not received final payment. That is everything I came to say." I sat down. The room stayed completely still. My mother rose so quickly her chair scraped. The public face fell away. "How dare you bring this here, after everything I carried, after everything I gave up? You have always been jealous of your sister. You wait until the last moment to try to destroy her." She spoke louder. She pointed at the ceiling. She used our father's name twice. The room watched without speaking. The silence made her voice climb higher. Then Claire stood, voice shaking. "It was your idea. You said she never checks. You said she always fixes things. You put the old license in the folder. I filled out the form, but you signed her name." A low sound moved through the tables. My mother's face changed color. Her purse slipped. A small photograph of our father fell face up on the floor. She stared at it for a second, then stepped over it and turned on Claire. I bent down, picked up the photograph, and set it on the table. "You decided I was not welcome at this wedding," I said evenly. "Yet my name is the only one still holding the payments." Grant's father spoke again, quieter this time. "Our family will not continue with tomorrow's ceremony or any ceremony until every part of this wedding carries an honest name." He and his wife stood. Relatives followed in small groups, folding napkins carefully. Grant walked to Claire, removed the small flower from his jacket, and placed it on the table between them. He told her he could accept a simple wedding but not a constructed one. Then he left with his parents. My mother came toward me, hands out. "Lena, fix this, talk to them, you can still fix this, family helps family." I stepped back. "You taught me that sentence. Tonight I used it exactly as you meant it." I picked up the folder and walked out. I closed the door without force. The quiet sound carried farther than any slam. Over the next 2 days, the wedding came apart the way unpaid contracts come apart, on schedule and without emotion. The venue canceled. The remaining vendors released the date. By Sunday, there was no wedding left to postpone. The credit union completed its review. The signatures were determined not authentic. My name was removed. The store account was cleared from my file. The police case remained open. In the airport security line, I received a short message from Grant. He thanked me for the clear facts. His parents sent their regards to the sister who brought the folder. He had returned the ring. I replied with the same 2 words I had used at the beginning, "Understood." The legal side resolved months later. Claire accepted formal responsibility. A repayment schedule was set. She works extra shifts to meet it. My mother was not charged. The only person who could place the pen in her hand chose not to testify. In our town, the quiet consequences arrived anyway. Certain invitations stopped coming. Certain positions were reassigned without discussion. I retrieved every document that still carried my name from my mother's house, with Ruth present as witness. Those papers now live in the safe at my clinic. I see my mother at necessary family events. We exchange the minimum required words. She tells her version to anyone who will still listen. Fewer people do. Ruth and Tara come to dinner once a month. We talk about ordinary things. It is enough. 6 months later, a handwritten letter arrived from Claire. No requests, no explanations that tried to soften the center. Only the words "I'm sorry" at the end of a sentence that stopped cleanly. I wrote back one line, "The door is not locked, the accounts stay closed. We have met twice for coffee since then, it is careful. It may become something or it may not. Either way, my name remains mine." My mother continues to tell her story. Let her. She was right about one thing the day she told me I was not welcome. The version of me who kept the accounts open for everyone else no longer exists. I closed those accounts myself. If years of saying yes taught me anything, it is this. People who treat you like an open account will call every boundary a theft. Close the account anyway, that is what happened. One calm sentence at a kitchen table, one transfer, a phone full of missed calls, and one message that returned my name to me. If this reminded you to check your own credit, do it today. If someone in your life is still treating you like the family account, share this with them. Comment. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next story.